All right, guys, we are fresh off the first padded practice of 49ers training camp, and it was pretty eventful. Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions, but what's important is the context, so I'll provide that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about some of the other things that were pertinent from camp today. Offensive line has been the biggest thing that has kind of developed into a story of its own. Obviously, the issues with Brendo Feliciano, no Trent Williams, has, created a bit of a rotating door on the offensive line. So what we got today was a bit of the same. Those guys weren't available for padded practice today. So that meant Ben Barch got run with the ones at center and Dominic Pooney getting run at right guard with the starters. Obviously, Spencer Burford is also down with a broken hand. So 49ers depth at offensive line is getting tested early in training camp. So that's going to be one of the bigger storylines of the 49ers offseason, because obviously it's being headed by Trent Williams not participating due to contract disputes, I guess you could say. So the offensive line will be something that we continue to monitor. I'll talk about them a little bit more from a, on-field standpoint as we get into our updates. But I will have to say, defense won the day as I spit all over my camera. I mean, I was hyped, man. It was really cool to see these guys back out in pads. It's just a different level of intensity. When pads come on, you can start hearing them pop. But the defense was active. And while there were times where the pocket was holding up well, those would be times where there would be coverage sacks, where Brock didn't have anywhere to go with the football, and he would have to bail out and try to make something happen after what you would probably blow the whistle and deem a coverage sack in a regular game. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Like, first of all, the offensive line held up long enough for it to be a coverage sack, but you don't want a coverage stack. So it's good for the defense. Defense played really good today. And that's obviously something to kind of expect, especially early on in training camp. It's very typical that defense will be ahead of the offense. Offense is more coordination. Defense is pin your ears back and go. So, but that's not an excuse. And we'll talk about the issues that the offense had on the day. But before we get into the issues, I want to talk about some DBs that balled out today. Lenore had a nice interception on Brock Purdy. This play developed in the sense of Brock dropped back. The pocket started to collapse on him, and you could see he threw off his back foot because he couldn't step into the throw. Now, it was like an intermediate crosser over the middle of the field towards the right sideline. I didn't see who the receiver was. Looks like the receiver laid out for it, but it was Deommodore Lenore who came up with the interception. You also had George Odom interception. This one, I would say, was mostly on Brock. He just kind of bailed out, forced it, and George made a great play and made the pick. And then the third pick that Brock Purdy had was actually I would consider it a coverage sack, where the pocket wasn't bad, but he had to do something because he couldn't find an open wide receiver. So he bailed out to the left, and he put it right on Logan Thomas, right on his chest. And this was in red zone period. It hits Logan Thomas in the chest. Ball pops up. Fred Warner intercepts it. So if we really wanted to get into assigning blame of interceptions, I would say maybe one was on Brock. The other ones were a combination of coverage sacks and just trying to make something happen when everything else broke down. So we got some players getting autographs out here behind us, a lot of fans. We'll see who pops up, see if anyone gives a surprise. But I also got to shout out rookie Renardo Green. Renardo was balling today. We got, I don't know if you can see him. There's George Odom just walking by. Just talked about him having a nice interception. They're right there. Oh, we got Ricky Pearsall coming over here. I might have to go get some footage of that in a second. But let's finish wrapping this thing up. Renardo Green probably had one of my favorite plays of the day. Renardo, this is actually it was a dime from Brock Purdy to Jennings in red zone period against the right sideline in the end zone. Jennings goes up, high points it. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful touchdown, and Renardo Green with a phenomenal pass breakup. And this is a great development because I've noted Renardo Green and Jennings battling throughout training camp, where honestly Jennings has kind of gotten the upper hand on Renardo so far. So this felt like a little bit of redemption. It was a great play by Renardo because it was a great throw and great catch by Juwan. Just better play by Renardo. And that kind of, I think, sums up the day for the defense. But on the offensive side, we also saw Cam Latu. Cam Latu got a catch, and he turned upfield for a pretty nice gain. It wasn't all bad for the entire offense. Dobbs had a touchdown to Jennings. It really feels like Dobbs is settling in a bit with understanding the offense, and I think he's now finally pushing on Allen for that potential QB2 spot, whereas before it didn't seem like that. I would say Deebo Samuel had the catch of the day, where, again, it was kind of a coverage sack to the point where Brock is just scrambling all over the place. And then it was Brock throwing it to the very back of the end zone. Deebo Samuel somehow high points it, somehow brings it in. I don't know if he got his feet in, but it was a beautiful catch. We saw Brock, leading the way for Deebo Samuel on like a double end around or something like that, where Brock was literally like 20 yards downfield. We've got George Odom pulling up right now. No idea where they're going or what they're doing. But that was George in the golf cart, George Odom. In regards to some of the other plays that happened, like I said, it was a good day for the defense. Defense balled. It was some good stuff. Oh, Jordan Mason got the first carry of today. No Christian McCaffrey, no Nick Bosa, really light on Kittle, but a lot of Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason running well. Jordan Mason may have jumped Elijah Mitchell. I don't know. That's going to be something that we watch for. But that's my instant reaction here from training camp, and we'll break it down in further detail in a little bit.